The following is brought to you by the Starfleet Podcast Network, SPN, The Spin. Have you ever had one of those days where you're trying to think of something, you can feel the neurons going, but they don't really connect all the way?
That's like my Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays.
That is my every day that ends in a Y.
Red alert.
Welcome to Beyond Trek Podcast. I am your host, BigJ. I am here with a guest co-host, what we'll call you, Doug, who was our man on the ground for the Trekonderoga in New York, Ticonderoga, New York. And I want to hear about this experience that you had. And first, I want to tell you how jealous I am that you got to go do this. I've missed everything this year. I missed STLV, wasn't able to get to that. It ended up falling out of the budget. This Trekonderoga, so I'm missing out on everything. So I get to sit here and hear you talk about it and be envious.
Well, thanks, Joshua. I tell you what, though, STLV was interesting this year with the strike, right? All the conventions had that big question mark. What can they do? What can they talk about? Early on, the rumors were that they couldn't talk about anything that was project related because that would be against their contract, and they weren't allowed to bring it up. However, as time went on, different Facebook groups and different website forums talked about what they could do, what they couldn't do. So STLV was different. I wasn't there this year. I've been there many, many years, but not this year. We had the opportunity to do Star Trek Ticonderoga, which is a first for me and my wife this year. It's located in Ticonderoga, New York. If you don't have the opportunity to do the big one like Star Trek LV, then Ticonderoga is amazing. First of all, it's incredibly affordable.
Is it?
It's incredibly affordable. The weekend pass, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so 2.5 days. It's not as big as Star Trek Las Vegas or even Chicago or even San Francisco or New Jersey. It was $73.
What? That's it?
$73 for the weekend.
For the weekend.
That gets you in to Ticonderoga, which I'll explain what that is in a little bit, and get you a tour. That includes a tour of the set, the original series set, which is immaculate. You do not want to leave. Once you get in there, you feel like you're right there in the 1968 filming of Star Trek, the original series. So
I saw your pictures, and I've got a slideshow running right now that you'll see once you watch this. And
Sure.
They did. I could not believe how authentic it all looked. And it looked like you were really there.
It's amazing.
I'm still amazed by for $73, you couldn't get a sandwich at STLV.
This is true.
It's ridiculous. So yeah. Okay. So going back to the, oh shoot! You know, remember how I was saying at the beginning of this that the neurons in the brain just don't work?
Did they kick in?
Well, no, it kicked in for a second and then went away. So
we can edit this in post.
Heck, no, I don't edit anything. We do this. We do it raw, is what I like to say. You know, we'll do it live. We do it live, and
do it live. It'll be fine.
Exactly. That's part of the thing. Is it's more natural when you're talking and you trail off and forget what you were saying. So. So this was the first year that you were able to be there for this, right?
Now,
yeah, that's what we're talking about.
It's been going on for a couple of years. A gentleman named James Crowley, years ago, I don't know the exact date, I'm guessing about 12 years ago, I found out during, there's a clip of his speech. First of all, he's an Elvis impersonator as a side gig, okay? And so that's his current job, if you will, but his original job was a wardrobe manufacturer on the set of The Next Generation. He didn't design, but he made Wesley Crusher's outfits.
I didn't know
sweater, that. Neither did I. That sweater, he made it. He actually knitted it, fitted it, got it ready to go, repaired it if it got broken. That was his job. That's his original connection to Star Trek Next Generation. After it closed, I don't know the entire story, but he was able to end up with a lot of blueprints, a lot of memorabilia from the shows. And one day, He's from Ticonderoga, New York, which, by the way, is a very small town in the middle of New York, in the middle of nowhere else. It's out there. There's nothing else there. However, what was there is an abandoned grocery store. He was able to purchase this abandoned grocery store in a small little strip mall, which I've got a couple of photos of that up there. It's very small. However, it's big enough for him to be able to recreate the original series set. He has the bridge. You'll see in the slideshow. He's got Dr. McCoy's medical bay. He's got Scotty's engineering office. He's got the transporter room, which yes, you can hop on the transporter and take your photo. So if you want to geek out, get up there with your uniform and do it. The hallways, all the hallways between the different sets are the original series hallways. So he's got red alerts going in the background. He's got push buttons on the wall. You feel like you're in the scenes on the set. So he's been doing that for about 12 to 15 years. And he just recently announced that he was able to purchase the building next door, or he's in agreement to purchase the building next door, where he is next going to build the Next Generation set.
Really? Oh, wow.
So he already has a control console built. I think there might be a photo of it in the slideshow. He has a control console built from the Next Gen scene. It's where it's the back of the bridge where
yes.
You would see that. So that's already built, and he's working on the rest of it. There was while we were there was a set designer who from the Next Generation who explained how they built Star Trek Enterprise D for Star Trek Picard Season 3. And he went through the entire build, how they built it, how Brent Spiner ripped the chair by knocking it into the wall all the time. And
how did he?
It's a picture of a tear in the cloth of Data's chair, and he said it was too close to the console. And the very first thing Brent Spiner did when they were showing him the recreation of the set, the cast and crew came in. Brent Spiner sits down, sees his chair, and he turns and hits the side of the chair against the console. And he kept hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. He says, "This doesn't turn all the way. Is it supposed to turn all the way?" Well, as he's doing it, he rips the chair. And there's if you buy we've been told, if you buy the director's cut of the DVD for Next Generation, or for Star Trek Picard, when it comes out on Blu-ray soon, it'll include the director's cut, which includes that tear in the chair. So it shows you how it happened. It also shows, I may have gotten a small recording of this if I wasn't allowed to, but I took it anyway. After they finished building Enterprise D for Star Trek Picard, they invited the cast onto, you can see them walking on the set for the first time. They're just, they're all in amazement going, "Oh my Lord, I can't believe you recreated Enterprise D." And it's amazing to watch them walk on. It'd be like you and I doing the same thing. They're just flabbergasted as to how cool it is to be back on Enterprise D.
It is. It's amazing how cool it looked and the photos that you took. And the other thing was, with the attention to detail, the lighting. The lighting also looked like how it did in the 60s when they filmed it, and how this was done. And I'm hoping one day to be able to talk to him about all this stuff. Send him a message on Facebook. Hadn't heard back, but it would be amazing to be able to talk to him directly about that. But
mention my name. It probably won't do a thing.
Yeah, this guy Doug was there looking at your set. Doug who?
There last week.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't get any further. It's but
now the really cool thing is he's out of room. I mean, they were talking about where they're going to put the next set. They bought the building next door. It's going to take some red tape to get through, and it needs to be repaired, et cetera, et cetera. There are very few hotels in Ticonderoga. In fact, we stayed at B&B a couple miles away. It was beautiful. There's very little to do in Ticonderoga, but there is, of course, his Star Trek.
That's the only thing in Ticonderoga, it sounds like.
Pretty much. Except there is a Ticonderoga school right up the street, about a mile up the road.
Yep.
And because there's no room in his facility currently, he'll hold off-site events. You could walk it. It's probably half mile, 3/4 of a mile, where most people drove. And in there, they had a vendor's area, which was not STLV. It's not that big. It was not Chicago. It's not that big, but you could go in and pick up some trinkets and some T-shirts and spend a little cash if you wanted to, and just hang out with everybody else. There's a lot of people in costume. They're doing the cosplay thing. My wife and I did have a few. You may see those in there. But it is a miniature Star Trek convention without the cost. In addition to that, you can go to the auditorium where my favorite Riker was there. He came in and did probably an hour with everybody. But the cool thing is think of your high school auditorium. There's 100 people there, right? That's it. There's 100 people there. STLV, there's 6,000 people there. With Ticonderoga, you're 10 feet away from Riker the entire time.
So you don't have red shirts, the security officer standing right there. And if you look at them too long, then they're bouncing you out of the place, or, don't speak to them directly, all that stuff, which...
don't speak to the directors. Exactly. Autographs in the cafeteria. Think of your high school cafeteria.
Yeah.
They had a row. I might have some photos of that, some video of that, where there's just a line of people waiting to get their autographs. And they did the photo ops also. So now this is where, and also John Delancey was there. Q was there. He was wonderful, spoke for a while. Brent Spiner was supposed to be scheduled to appear, but unfortunately got COVID a few days before and had to cancel, which is very common with a lot of the conventions that we go to, that so many stars either get a scheduling conflict or get sick or whatever. So Brent Spiner wasn't able to make it, but obviously Q and Riker were there and spoke to us as if we were having dinner with them. It was amazing. Now,
it sounds like it was much better with having a smaller crowd there.
It was. You got up front, you got personable, you felt like you had a chance to talk to somebody, whereas at STLV Creations view, which I love, however, you're 100 feet away and you're watching everybody up on a big screen somewhere, whereas here you can see in the photos I sent, you're 10 feet away.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. Now I understand Kirk has been there. Who else has been there? There's a pretty good name of people who have been there so far. He's building a bigger audience and getting more and more names. Now, the $73 included your admission to the museum, which honestly takes about 45 minutes to go through, and that's it. You're not hanging out. You're not having dinner. You're walking through with a tour guide who makes sure that you don't touch anything. Now, you're allowed to get your photo on the transporter, and you're allowed to sit in the captain's chair and take a photo. That's pretty much it. You're not allowed to sit on a Dr. McCoy's bed. You're not allowed to hang out in engineering and climb up the stairs or anything like that.
I want to ask you that. What was that like sitting in the captain's chair?
It was that holy grail moment. I mean, let's face it, we've all wanted to do it, right?
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, I didn't have my Captain Kirk tunic on. I wish I did. Julie and I had gotten there, and it was time to do the tour. Now, you only get one tour with your $72 admission. It gives you a tour. Now, you can buy another one, of course, but I didn't have my tunic on, and we were in there. And we're like, well, let's just go. We didn't know you could take your picture until you got to the bridge. It was the last thing you did before you exited to the gift shop. So we didn't think that we were going to be able to do it, so we didn't even bother. Obviously, in hindsight, I wish I would have had my tunic on. So later, so the $72 gives you admission to the museum. You get your tour. It also, of course, run through the gift shop. It also gets you into the events for the weekend. So when Riker and Q and Steve Crowley were talking, you're allowed to go into the auditorium and listen to all of it. That's included. So well worth the price of admission right there.
Absolutely.
Now, if you want to go bold and you want to get your picture with one of the stars, say in this case Riker or Q, I think it was $150. So a little pricey. Ooh. We were tempted to do it, except we found out because of the strike, they weren't allowed to promote things that they were currently active in, so they couldn't take the picture on the bridge the way we thought we could. Yeah, you had to do it at the school in a regular auditorium because of the strike, that would have been promoting a series that they were under contract with. Okay, so you had to take your picture in the auditorium at the school. Or actually, they had a classroom set up, which is a lot like STLV, just a room with a background. You stand, you snap, you take your photo, and you move on. Kind of the same way there. So we opted not to do that. We really wanted our picture with a star on the bridge. In addition, the really cool thing you could do, this was pricey, you can take a tour of the original series sets with Q or Riker or theoretically Brent Spiner, but it was $450.
Yeah. And well, you know, what's funny is hearing those prices, you're thinking, well, that's kind of steep, but you know what? We've all spent probably so much more than that. You have to wonder, well, why is that such a deal breaker? I mean, there have been times where I wish my credit card statement was only $450, but never. No, I could go an entire month and not touch it at all and still have this bill. It's like, wait a minute, why, but I didn't use it. Oh yeah, here. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was me. That was this. But now for that, I would think for that price, is it a one-on-one thing? Like it's just you or is it the group of people?
It's a group of about 15.
You know, okay. Now, I guess that wouldn't be so bad.
No, the other thing too is recently Captain Kirk did a tour, I think last year, maybe a year before. It was $1,000. It was limited to 50 people and it sold out in minutes. It was sold out. Now,
doing a tour with William Shatner.
William Shatner on the original series bridge. Okay,
I think I would have had.
I wouldn't do it, but I could see how people would just instantly say yes.
I think I would have had to spring for that.
Yeah. So it's shorter, but it's sweeter. And, it's a great weekend. It's an inexpensive weekend. Just find a bed and breakfast somewhere. Or hopefully friends and family live nearby. In
Ticonderoga, what are the odds? Or anywhere around? Doug, I want to thank you again for coming on tonight and talking to me about Ticonderoga.
Absolutely.
I am definitely going to have to try to make it there for next year.
Yeah, so, I'll tell you, for us, it's a 12-hour drive.
Oh.
but you can fly into Albany if you want to. And it's, a short rental car away from there.
Yeah.
Definitely highly recommend Ticonderoga.
Well, that's not too bad. So what I'd like to do is we're going to end the podcast and I'm going to show some clips of Jonathan Frakes from when he was at Ticonderoga. So, and thanks again for getting that for me. I appreciate you getting that video. So
absolutely. I'm sure it's not copyrighted at all.
Well, I guess we're going to find out, so if we're totally shut down and no more Beyond Trek podcast episodes, you'll know why.
I'll know why. I can put my seal on that one. Jefferson, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate this. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll do this again.
Okay.
All right. Well, here he is. Some interview with Jonathan Frakes at the Trekonderoga.
Now, how does this work? You ask me questions, I tell you lies.
Tell stories.
Should I tell you the story of my first Star Trek convention? Yeah. It's an old story, but it's true. It took place in this very state, Syracuse, New York. 1987, I think it was the dead of winter. Some of you may have been there. There was a bitter, hostile, anti-next gen audience, I think. And when I say hostile, I mean mean and angry. And I didn't know what I was in for. I didn't know what the Star Trek thing was really going to be like. People had told me it's going to change your life. I didn't know how. I was also unaware of the power of the conventions and the power of the fans. I had also been told, but didn't really understand that. And nobody really wanted to see a bald captain with, English accent, a French name, and a Klingon on the bridge, and a blind guy driving the ship, and there were issues, right? So it was a very skeptical audience, let's say. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was getting in for, and I was waiting in what they referred to as the dealer's room by a table that was selling the old, skinnier, younger version of all of us, the action figures, those little action figures, like the first ones. What were they called? Not people. How you doing? You're not taping, right? Likely story. So, they were selling Geordie LaForge for $35. They had this weird limited dial-out data for like $45 or $50. Sir Patrick, not yet Sir Patrick, but they had, Captain Pecan, the wackiest nut in the galaxy, $75. And at the end of the the table, I swear on my children, a sign that says, buy any action figure, get Riker free. You know this story's true. And that's how it started.
So I was wondering two things. One, what were some of your favorite and least favorite or just most memorable smells on the set? And also, which of
I mentioned the cat piss already.
And I'm wondering also, so favorite and least favorite smells, but also who among the crew wearing those original uniforms, who had the worst body odor? And I kind of
Dangerous question.
I won't tell.
First of all, you would think it would be Worf, right? Because he's a dirty Klingon. And he's been sitting in that rubber head since 4 in the morning. But Michael smelled very good. Especially nowadays, since he's a vegan, he doesn't smell like meat anymore. It might have been me. Because I was a schwitzer, I would like to sweat. And I hated the costume with such a burning passion that maybe that passion smelled bad. Let's go with me on that. And other smells, I remember the smells in the makeup trailer more than the smells on the set. Because there was so much prosthetic stuff going on, and whatever they put on Data's face was weird, and there was a smell in that gold powder. And God knows there was enough fucking hairspray in that room. It was nuts. And I used to get my head painted so I didn't look bald in the back, and they put fish food on the back. There's all kinds of smells, as you can imagine, in the makeup trailer and the hair trailer. Not to mention the bad breakfasts that have been sitting there waiting to be eaten. Brent complained because his rye toast was never warm enough. To me. I auditioned, as you probably know, 7 times over 6 weeks for this job, which changed my life. And then the last couple of auditions, I was invited to Gene's office, and he would essentially prep me with Corey Allen, who directed the pilot, for whatever, I guess it was an administrator or some level of management who needed to sign off on casting me, because the show was made, it was the first syndicated show, it was the first scripted show made directly for syndication. So there were a lot of people who believed that they were the bosses and had figured in the decision making. So Gene said, and I do my impersonation with those long, he had fingers the size of trees, Jonathan, in the 24th century, there will be no hunger, and there will be no greed, and all of the children will know how to read. Gene Roddenberry. Thank you, guys. Bless you.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your years. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.